I'm about to stick up a video on screen now from around 18 months ago of what my life looked like at this time. So just take a look at this.
The train,
That was from late July, early August of 2022. So as I say, about 18 months ago. And as you can clearly see, the sun's out, I'm in a nice car, the roof's down, blasting music. I'm having a whale of a time. And I could have continued to keep that kind of lifestyle going from that point. You know, obviously it being winter now, it's slightly different, but you know, nice car, partying, doing whatever I want, going wherever I wanted. And it was fun, I enjoyed it. But due to something that happened earlier in that year, even though it would have been the easy choice, and I would probably be living nicer right now, it would have been the wrong choice, because I needed to think 5-10 years in advance. If I kept doing what I was doing, that bought me that car and meant that I had all that freedom, would I have any freedom at all in 5 years from that day? Probably not. So the easy choice was to stick, keep doing what I was doing, and the hard choice was to twist. And it's not just deciding to twist that was the hard part. The hard part is taking that knock to finance and status, and ultimately your pride. I'm making less money. My status has gone down because, you know, there's a few certain factors. You don't have the car, you don't have as much freedom, you don't have as much money to go and do nice things, take people out on dates, etc. And then having to work normal jobs is just a massive knock to your pride. It took me so long to actually come to terms with the fact that shit, I'm actually going to have to get a normal job. Probably about 6 months where I was trying to figure out a way to just make some money in the interim while I was learning to trade. But at the end of the day, just the normal part-time job it's the best option. Now I don't mind doing it now. The job I have currently, I actually enjoy it overall. But at the start, I was applying for at the very least some really shitty jobs that I really did not want to have to do. I worked in a chippy, I worked in some little pub, cleaning job, and I just felt so out of place. But the only thing that kept me going and motivated and determined to do these jobs and do well was the fact, there was an empowering sort of feeling of doing what I had to do for the cause. I have this goal in mind and I'm taking a knock to my finances, status and pride in order to achieve that goal, and something about that to me felt very empowering. And so the only way that I'm able to keep this feeling of empowerment so prevalent in my mind is by, like I said, planning 5-10 years into the future. Because if I'm just looking 1 year into the future, realistically, I might still be in a very similar situation. But if I'm looking 5 years into the future, if I continue to do everything that I'm doing now for 5 years, it's unreasonable that I'm not going to have at least a decent level of success. I'm already 1 year deep, so let's take it from this time 1 year ago when I first started my trading. I thought that by the summer just gone, I would be making a little bit of money. I'm making pretty much fucking nothing at the moment. I've made a few little bits and bobs, but I've still not passed the funded challenge. My perception was already warped at that time, but even still then, I was planning for 5 years ahead. And so if we go from 4 years from today, it's completely unreasonable to say that I will have not have passed any funded challenges and I won't have made any money. In 5 years or 4 years from today, I will be passing funded challenges. I am aiming for 100k this year and I'm going to have a level of success. And that's the only way that I'm able to suck it up and grit it out of, like I say, having no money, etc. Because I know where I'm going, I know where I'm headed. So I don't feel like I'm just stuck in a rut, going nowhere. I feel like I'm in the fucking trenches, but I'm digging my way out every single day. And if I dig for 5 more years, I'll have used all the shit that I've shoveled and I've turned it into a castle.